Thanks very much for joining me on the HustleWing Podcast. Today we've got Kevin and Kellen. And gentlemen, it would be great for you to introduce yourselves. Tell us about yourselves, about the company, and where we are in 2024. Over to you.
Sure. Well, I'll start it off. So my name's Kellen, and Kevin and I run a digital marketing agency called Unprecedented Media. And basically what we do, just to kind of give you the initial starter brief, is we help small businesses and startups to take their business online into the digital space and help them scale their platform, grow their following, and basically try to bring in new clients, or at least teach the online space about what it is their product or their service does.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised to learn that you'd be surprised to learn that there are a lot of businesses that don't have social media yet, or if they do, it's an Instagram where they post once every 5 weeks. And these are people maybe who don't feel comfortable in the space, don't have time to take that on. It's a big job, even though it seems easy, and it's often delegated to an employee who has another primary responsibility. So we game plan with those small businesses where social media might be most effective for them, and then we step in and run that for them, or figure out a plan that gives them a really, really easy, targeted way to effectively use social media for their business.
And do you only focus on social media, or are you working across the entire performance spectrum? So is search involved at all, other paid media and so forth?
So our main business is in specifically social media. However, we do have a larger team where we bring on a couple tertiary folks that are associated with our company who can help with things like paid ads, paid social media, search, design, video production. So while we sort of focus on the social media and digital marketing growth, our team at large can help in all of these facets.
And also, we have had certain clients that need like event support or day of event coordination. So we've been challenging ourselves to grow into that, which has been exciting. So we do it all if you need us to, which is great.
And what kind of clients are we talking about every year in from 2023 to 2024? Are you dealing with brands directly? Are you working with agencies as well? Do you find yourselves partnering with other agencies that you guys do the performance and social element, and they do maybe creative and so forth, the development? How does that picture look?
We like to operate kind of in as tight-knit a community as possible. So what I mean by that is that a lot of the clients we're working with are small teams, or at least they're starting in that way. So these are businesses who are starting up something from the ground up, and they want to work with us to help start from the bottom up, or businesses that are in that situation. So a lot of our clients right now are startups that are truly starting from the bottom, and they wanted to find a way to build a marketing platform from the bottom. We like that best because it allows us to kind of work with them initially and not have a kind of something that's 50% started and then we come in and have to kind of bring it back down to zero and then start again. We really like to start from the beginning. Obviously, that's not always possible, but that's what we would prefer to do and what we like to do. And I think we can provide some serious value when we're starting with a small team from the beginning.
Yeah, the freedom to be creative and explore without too many opinions and too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say. That tends to be really helpful and tends to get us towards a brand identity much more quickly, and allows us to just be more creative, honestly.
Yeah, and on that point, one thing about kind of the social media space in this day and age, and particularly with small businesses who aren't these massive corporations, is they can gain a huge advantage by moving quickly. And that's where we really pride ourselves, is that we're quick movers. We can adapt in a swift capacity, and we can make things happen very quickly. So we've had clients reach out to us, and we're turning around social media profiles and building interest within a week, and we're churning out content. We're getting things going right away. Whereas a lot of larger corporations or agencies, you might see a little bit more of a process at the front end, which is not a bad thing. It's just that we like to have our clients come to us and know that they're going to get something started quickly, because a lot of them want to see things moving in a more immediate timeline.
And have you guys found any challenges with the new Google updates or the migration to G4 with analytics and so forth? Have those been any challenges that you faced with any of the clients, that migration across?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had some issues here. I mean, I feel like these types of migrations always cause struggles, especially when we're running ads, boosted posts in that world. We've seen situations where we will start a campaign and it'll get shut down, and it's very difficult to reach Google or determine why that's happening. So there's a little bit more of back end conversations and processes that have to happen between us and Google. But a lot of that is our team who is specialized in Google Ads that's running that. So I don't want to speak too much on that because that's their specialty.
No, absolutely. And have you found the new TikTok store, well, the launch of the TikTok store, a big deal in comparison to what was happening with Meta? Well, since Meta became Meta, are you enjoying that new updates? I mean, it's a big deal in terms of shopping. It's kind of boomed in terms of the last 8 to 9 months and so forth. Are you finding great success over there? Is that winning for you guys?
So a lot of the businesses we're dealing with are less product oriented and more service oriented. So we're not really utilizing TikTok Shop in the way that a lot of agencies or kind of brands like us might. However, we have an interesting relationship with TikTok because the way Kevin and I started is that we actually started a singing TikTok, and we got 1.5 million followers over there. So we've had a lot of history with the platform and how it's grown. And from sort of a non-business side of things, it's been interesting because I do feel like with the TikTok Shop, and correct me if you feel differently, Kev, but I feel like it's changed the way that content on the platform is looking. You're getting a lot more of these types of videos where people are saying, like, check out my LED light behind my TV and then buy it. Blink. You're seeing a lot more of that than you used to see, which, it's good for business, but it's not so good for the creativity of the content. So I thought that's been an interesting paradigm shift in the way that platform's been operating.
Yeah, and I think the thing with TikTok is that it stays winning as far as anything that TikTok introduces. It tends to hit it hard and do really well. Even CapCut, which is ByteDance's video editing software, added a premium option. And I love CapCut. And so I was forced to shell out the money for the premium just because I got so used to the features. I think the TikTok Shop is the same thing. They just can command a marketplace so well. And for Kellen and I as creators, anything that they add that adds functionality that makes it easier to work with brands and work with artists, that's great. There's no loss there as far as creator side and business side, right?
And the current question that is a difficult one to answer, but an obvious one: how much has AI changed in terms of how you guys deal with clients, and what are your favorite AI tools? I mean, it's a ridiculous question because there's so many, but do you integrate a lot of those into the platforms? Are you playing with those? How are you finding that kind of like helping with developing of the content? And do you think that people are using it correctly? And how are you finding that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is kind of like the hot topic of the last year, right? I mean, ChatGPT came out about 12 months ago, and it's really changed everything since with generative AI. I mean, I think it's huge, and if you're not utilizing it or at least bringing it into your business, then you're going to fall behind very quickly. Technically, we're using AI every day when it comes to caption generation. So you can come up with an incredible Instagram caption in seconds just by throwing a nice prompt into ChatGPT or a ChatGPT plugin for whichever social media service you're using. We're using things like there's a lot of websites where you can clip YouTube videos into shorts, and they'll do captions, they'll do things like that. So things like clap.app, I believe it is, and then Opus Clip is another. There's a ton of them now, but these are all fantastic options for people to use. And I think if you're really, as I said before, if you're not using it, you're wasting your own time. It makes sense to spend a week really learning about all the options, and then a couple of days utilizing them, and suddenly 2 employees becomes 10 employees. It's incredible. It's insane.
And I think
that brings me on to the next bit. So go Kevin. Yeah.
No, Glenn, go ahead, please.
What does your current team look like? Is it the two of you gentlemen plus a team that supports you? Have you got other team members on staff? Do you use a lot of freelancers, contract workers? What does that setup look like?
Yeah, so our team we're a partnership as a company. So it's the 2 of us. We're the only employees in the company. And then we use freelancers for the various things I mentioned before. So that might be paid social media, paid ads, website design, various production editing services, anything you need in terms of content creation. We handle a lot of that, but for anything extra, if there's just a large capacity of work coming in, or if we need a specialist on something, we'll go to our kind of external team, if you will, and those are freelance workers who help us.
Absolutely. And in terms of the rest of the year, like big projects that you're currently on that might be coming up and so forth, what are the skill sets specifically over there? Are we talking about development? Are we talking more creative? Are we talking about designers? Are we talking about Google ads? Like what kind of skill sets? Because that's what it becomes prevalent to our community. Like how can the community reach out to you? Who would you like to hear from, basically?
Go for it, Kev.
App and web development, is always so helpful. Those are things that Kellen and I can do a decent job with, but when a specialist comes in, that makes all the difference, right? So those Facebook Meta ads and Google Analytics, Google Ads, those are also like, there's so much tinkering that can be done under the hood of those platforms that a specialist is just invaluable. Kellen, anything else you can think of?
Yeah, I think to go off Kev's point, what we see a lot and what I imagine a lot of other businesses in our space see is we come in and a brand will reach out to us and say, hey, we want to expand our following. And what that means typically for a lot of these small business owners is we don't know how to do anything in the digital space and we need your help. So where we come in obviously is helping with the social media and helping with content and all of that. But they're often also looking for web development. They're looking for app creation. They're looking for AI integration of various tools. And so, if there's anyone out there listening who specializes in those types of things, we can always use that help because there's a big difference between creating content for social media pages and running those pages and then developing a website or an app. And people often want us to do all of that. And so any extra help on those fronts goes a long way.
And you can make the best TikTok in the world, but if you're not boosting it and getting it in front of the right people, you're missing a big opportunity. And that's where specialists are, again, invaluable.
Yep.
Absolutely. And in terms of which sectors you're currently working in with which clients, so which sectors are we talking about? Are we talking about besides the startups and so forth, or where do the startups fall? Are they purely tech, or are they sitting in finance, or what does that look like out of interest?
Yeah, we're truly everywhere because the good thing about our industry, and for anyone who's in content or digital marketing, everyone needs this now, which is so amazing. Yeah. We're in the event space. We're in the kind of like services community trading space. We're in the finance space. We're in the tech space. We're doing a lot for everyone because I think everyone nowadays realizes they need digital media.
No, absolutely. And what are your predictions for what's going to be coming up in 2024? What's the next big trend or phase, or what do you think the next hook is people are going to hang their hats on, in your opinions? Because everyone's obviously leveraging AI and so forth, but what is the next element that you think is going to be very important besides authenticity? You know what I mean? Yeah. What do you think that is, in your opinions?
Yeah, I mean, authenticity, honestly, is what I was going to say before you even said it, Glenn.
Yes.
If you look at the YouTube space in particular right now, you're seeing a ton of the biggest YouTubers saying that they're quitting the platform. And this doesn't necessarily mean they're done uploading, but they're starting to change their style. And that you're starting to see a lot more people where they're just going to talk to the camera in a podcast form for 20 minutes. And you get this sort of authentic feel of who these people are, as opposed to this like Mr. Beast hyper edited type of video. I think because we've had so much short form content and so much highly edited content, this year we're going to see a shift back to that more authentic, long form, kind of just let's talk to the camera, give you my story type of content. I really think we will.
Do you believe that that has got a lot to do with people that are really nailing their audiences correctly? So they're knowing what their niche is, they're knowing who they're speaking to, and they're kind of honing in on that, as opposed to casting it super wide and trying to catch everyone. So do you think that that is why people are doing that specifically? Because, I mean, YouTube, I got an email from YouTube 2-3 days ago with a term that, talking about tilde. Have you heard this? Tilde.
No.
Too long didn't read.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yes.
No,
yes.
I know, right? I mean, like, I was like, what is this? So do you believe that the fact that people are understanding where the audiences are living and kind of like honing down on those specific kind of people and finding those tribes almost, is really where it's at as we go into the rest of this year now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all seen that growth on platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, it's all kind of stagnated, right? There's fewer and fewer creators that are jumping up to 1 million followers overnight with a great video. We're just kind of done with that ecosystem on short form video. So at this point, you would rather have 70 to 5,000 super dedicated followers if you're a streamer, people that just are constantly with you, than 1 million people who see your video, watch it for 5 seconds and move on. It's not about being widely known, it's about being well known in the space that you're in. So,
and I think that's what if we talk about like the influencer market, this is a little bit different, but that's what brands are looking for now. They're not necessarily looking at follower counts when they want to pay you to promote their product. They're looking more at your engagement, how niche your audience is, how much it connects with the product they're trying to pitch. So that I think we're starting to see a little bit of a shift of too, is the whole influencer network, the world of influencers.
Yeah, 6 months ago it was all UGC, right? And here's how you can get UGC for your brand, user-generated content. And that's white labeling videos from people who are competent creators, but aren't necessarily posting your video on their channel. They're just delivering you great content. I think running campaigns that are purely based on UGC and then boosting those things with Google ads and Meta ad spend is a great way to run social media for your business. I think it doesn't look procedurally generated, or it doesn't look fake. It seems real, which I think is, as you said, authenticity, but seeming real is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I think a nice final question to kind of round things off, because we just about run out of time. If we talk about the culture that you gentlemen have for your agency, the way that you work together and the kind of people you like to work with, how would you kind of like highlight that? Or what is the kind of human beings that you enjoy working with? Are there prerequisites? Or who do you like, who are these people, if you can describe it? I know it's a bit of a roundish large question, but like, what are the kind of human beings you enjoy working with, and what do they look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think the type of ideal client for us is someone who is extremely driven, a strong communicator, and ready to go all in on whatever it is they're trying to do. They care about their business. and they're going to put everything into it. I mean, we have worked with a number of different clients, and it's those people who we, one, enjoy working with the most, and two, we see the most success with, because they're willing to let us be creative, let us do our thing, but utilize that in their implementation of running their business, and they see huge success in that way.
And I think as far as people that we like having on our team and people that we enjoy working with as experts and freelancers, those people having a sense of fun and creativity about what we do is the most exciting. When someone messages us a highlight and they're excited about what's happening with the Google ads, that gets us juiced up, and that makes us want to work with them more. Because it can be kind of dry when you're just doing data analytics. So anyone who brings that sense of like playfulness to what they do, just on every side, makes it more enjoyable. And I think it's understated how being an enjoyable person to work with keeps people hiring you, at the very least.
Yeah, we try to get a lot of excitement going in our Slack channel with all of the folks that we work with when, a piece of content hits really well, or the ad plays really well, or we're getting good comments on something that was posted across our channels. And we try to get the team involved and make sure that people are feeling good about how things are going.
Yeah, you got to celebrate your successes when you can.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a cool question. Something that I haven't asked anyone yet is, what are your project management protocols? You just mentioned Slack now. So besides Slack, how do you communicate with your teams? And how do you guys sort of like integrate and bring things together? What software do you use, out of interest?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we use Slack for all forms of communication. Absolutely love it. It's great for
Slack is great.
Not just communication, but it's good for shipping files around too, media files, which is nice. We use Dropbox all the time for file delivery. And then what we use for our social media management and scheduling is something called Cloud Campaign, which we've had a lot of success with. We really enjoy. They've got a nice setup. They're a relatively small company too, but they allow for full scheduling of multiple clients across all the social media platforms. They utilize ChatGPT plugins for creating captions, as I mentioned earlier. Cool. And they one reason I like them too is if we have any issues, we can reach out to them, and they pretty quickly are right back to us. They're helping us because they're trying to build out their platform too. So we work with them nicely, which is awesome.
Yeah, they're super responsive. It makes you feel taken care of, which is nice when it's a platform that you kind of live or die by.
Yeah.
What is the vision for 2024 besides just scalability and growth? What is your vision for the rest of this year?
You want to take it, Kat?
Yeah, I think it's all about having more fun for us. It's figuring out who we can work with and what we can do that gets us excited. We're so lucky to be able to do this, that focusing on that and keeping that ball rolling is every year we're excited about that.
Yeah, I got a second. You answered it perfectly.
It's the perfect answer to a very ridiculous question, I'll be honest with you. So it's the perfect answer. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. So much.
Great. Hey, thanks for having us.